Welcome back, guys, to Khan's Garage. In this video I will show you how to change a T10 to a 4L60E. In other words, how to go from stick to automatic. And this is a second gen Camaro, so anything from 1970 to 1981 Firebird slash Camaro, it's the same thing. So we're gonna, this video might be a little long. I'm also gonna chop this up also so you can see it my regular, on my channel with different shots of doing different things on this. So let's begin. Alright, so this is how I raised the car up. I put it on two blocks over here. I jacked it up from the pumpkin over here from the rear end. And in the front, what I did was I put the jack stands on the frame rails over here and over there. And I for extra support, just in case, I also put two jack stands over there on the control arms, just in case these fail. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is drain this. There's a drain plug here. I'm going to use an adjustable wrench on it. I have a drain pan underneath. That's a 10mm bolt, so undo that. You unscrew this counterclockwise, lefty loosey baby, and you just pull that out. Alright, now get the bolts for the drive shaft. This is 7/16. And that's the other one. Alright, the car is in neutral now and the e-brake is off, so all you gotta do is just grab the drive shaft and turn it, or you can also just turn it from the wheels. Also, make sure you jack it up from the pumpkin and both tires are off the ground completely when you do this. So just turn it around until you see those bolts right there. I put the car back, the tires back on the ground, in this case on blocks, so this doesn't turn anymore. And I'm going to crack these loose and take these off now. Alright, now you grab the drive shaft, you push it towards the front of the car, and you lower it a little bit. Then you go from the front, and you take your rod, the shaft, all the way out of the hole, baby, just like that. Make sure you have a pan underneath to catch the fluid, and your drive shaft is out. Alright, now here the clutch fork. There's a spring here that holds it in place. I'm going to push the clutch fork over like that, and that comes off like that. Alright, now I'm going to grab this spring, pull it, and disconnect it from here. Just like that. And over here, it just came right off. So that spring is off. Alright, these are 9/16 bolts here that connect this huge ass Hurst shifter. So we don't have probably the clearance to bring this all the way down. So next step over here is I'm just going to take these bolts off.
It was like driving with a lamppost as you shifted with this thing.
Now the bell housing to the block bolts, these are 14mm. I have a long ass extension, my clown extension, and this is the passenger side. So let's get it in there, just like that, and turn the bitch. I have a U-joint on there too. There you go, baby. That's one. Now let's do this top bolt. This one here is a dowel, so that's to align the case when you're putting it on. And there's one more on top now, on this side. So I'll get to that now. Alright, now this one on top. Actually, this was loose up here, So it wasn't even in there all the way. And we're done on this side. Alright, now over here, I'm gonna use a box end to try to crack the driver's side one loose. The top one on the driver's side. Let's see. Just like that. And there goes that one. This one here is actually out. It's not even holding the belt housing in. So I don't know what happened previously, whoever put this in. But anyway, I'm gonna take this one out now. That's this one. And there's one more on top on the driver's side. Now you reach back here underneath the intake. This is the driver's side. And you're gonna feel that bolt over there. I use one of these to get to it. This is a Flex Head 14 ratcheting box end. And that's the last one on top over there. Alright, the crossmember bolt in the middle is a 17 millimeter. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this bitch. And this was actually loose. Like everything in this car was loose for some reason. I'm just gonna leave this on just like that for now and take the end of the crossmember off. Now the ends of the crossmember here, you can see through the frame rail, there's two nuts, a pair of nuts, and on top you're gonna have the bolt going through, so it's a 14 millimeter and 14 millimeter over here, so you'll need a deep socket for the bottom and a wrench on top to hold it in place. And I'm ready to crank her down. That's one bolt and off the other one. And you're working in tight quarters here, and there's that one. And now, loosen that, take that out all the way. All right, now I got two blocks of wood there, and I got a jack. And we're gonna jack it up, and you'll see the crossmember coming out loose. So go ahead, jack, Mrs. Assistant, Brianna.
It's going up.
It's going. All right, one more, and we're good. Now I'm gonna put this in between and pry it off, just like that. It came right off. This is jacked pretty much all the way up. So go ahead and take this off now. Came just like that out. Alright, now I'm going to take these bolts off. There's supposed to be 4 over here. One's missing. So these are 3/4 inch bolts. I'll take those off. That's one. And two on the other side. Oops. There goes that one. And the 4th one here. And over here you can see I have a pry bar right there. And I'm going to pry the bell housing off the block. Try to get that dowel key out of the way right there. So as you can see, it's off over there, so I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Alright, just keep the transmission level with the motor and it'll pop right out. I'm using a pry bar here. And it drops just like that. We don't care about this transmission, that's why we let it drop like that. So, be careful when you're doing it. Okay, there are 6 bolts here for the pressure plate. So I'm going to go ahead and take those off now. And there goes that. Alright, so there goes the clutch. And now I'll take the flywheel off with these bolts. Now, those of you with hand tools that don't have the luxury to have impact gun or air tools, to prevent this flywheel from turning, you can always put a vice grip right here. Hold it in place while you turn and crack these 11/16 flywheel bolts off. Now these are on there, so you're gonna need to use a breaker bar or some type of pipe here. So we're gonna go ahead and take this off. There you go. I thought this was funny to show you guys. This here rod that goes into the clutch fork, the previous owner or whoever did this job last put a nail in here to hold it in place. As you can see that.
Pathetic. Pathetic.
Thought that was funny. I'll show you guys. Let me take it out. Okay, now I'm gonna put this 1/4 inch with the adjustable head ratchet in there to 14mm to get that clutch rod bracket off. So I'm gonna try squeezing in there. Okay. Try to get this rod in there now. I mean this pipe in there. So give me some leverage to turn this. Alright, now this bracket here holds the clutch pedal over here, the linkage to the clutch pedal. So I just gotta take this clip off here, and that pedal, the rod should come right out. Alright, so this is actually a cotter pin here. So I'm going to try to take that off. Try to straighten it out first. There you go. Put a little hook in the back here. See if we grab this cotter pin.
There you go, almost.
Almost out.
There you go.
It's out. Alright, I'm going to press the clutch to make it easier for us to work with over here. And now I just got to pop this rod out. There's a washer there. The washer came out. And now that rod's out. It's out. Alright, now you can just slide this rod out. There's a slot here for in the bracket for this nut to come off. Okay, now to get this bracket off the frame rail here, it's a 1/2 inch. It has 3 bolts here. This is the one on the inside. So you get it from the bottom. And now from inside the fender well over here. And this whole bracket comes right out. Now you grab this rod and pull on the shaft, baby. It comes right out just like that. Alright, now over here on my finger is the cotter pin, and the rod goes through the firewall here to inside where the engine bay was. That's the clutch rod. So just gotta undo this cotter pin and pop this out. So I'm going to do that. Alright, actually came out by hand. Right there. Now let me just pop this through. And I could just pull this whole rod out. Yank the bitch. It'll come out with the grommet. And a few other things attached with it. Okay, now we're going to take the clutch pedal off the rod on top over here, where the brake pedal also resides. There's one end is a 5/8 nut, and the other side we have a 11/16 deep socket. So you got to hold one end while you're loosening the other. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Alright, now to pull this bolt through. Let's see if you get rid of this clutch pedal here. And here's the clutch pedal. Alright, now since this has the right amount of space over here that I need to make this work, I'm just going to cut this over here and reuse this as a spacer. So let me go ahead and do that now. Alright, now we're going to put this back in. Put this in through here. And put this in. This sleeve goes inside here. And these tuck up inside here also. Just like that. And also one more thing, I'm going to put some red Loctite over here. Alright, now this goes through this bracket here, and then through the brake pedal, then through the other side of the bracket. Alright, now I believe I got it through just like that. Alright, now we're just tightening it down. Okay, so everything's tied up there, and I'm gonna get these wires out of the way, zip tie them, and everything looks good. Alright, now the Z-Rod knob over here that goes into the block, we're just going to take a pair of channel locks here and turn it. And that's the whole Z-Rod assembly. It's out. Alright, we got a B&M torque converter here, part number 70420. It's 2000 stall. So we're going to put 1 quart of training fluid in here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Alright, now I put a quart in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of trans jelly, aka lube or petroleum jelly here. Vaseline you can also put around this shaft for that seal. So for the pump seal, it doesn't rip when you put this in. Okay. Now when you put this in, you're gonna have 2 clicks or 3 depending where it lands the first time when you put it on. It should go over this pair of splines and then on this pair of splines. So when you put it in, just keep on turning it and pushing it in. You're gonna see that this is gonna sit. Then I'm gonna show you how to measure to make sure it's properly seated inside. Also, another trick I like to do when everything's bolted up to the car is grab the flywheel and turn it, and sometimes these click out and it'll click back in when you're doing that on the car, just as a failsafe. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on now. Clicked. And it clicked again. And again. Just keep on turning it. That should be good. Yep, that's good. Now I'll show you how to check it. Okay, one way to check that you're fully seated with the torque converter is you put a straight edge over here, and you measure from the mounting hole over here all the way to the edge. It should be an inch or greater. This is about an inch and a hair longer, which is good. If it's less than an inch, that means it's too out torque converter. You gotta push it back in. So that's one way to check it. Alright, so now to put the flex plate on, I'm gonna use ARP bolts, part number 100-2901. It's the Chevy flex plate bolt kit, and this is what they look like. Now, whenever you use ARP bolts, always use their torque fastening recommendations. And what we're going to do here is we're going to use some of this fastener assembly lubricant underneath the head, and on the threads themselves we're going to use red Permatex thread locker. And we're going to torque these down to 75 foot-pounds on a crisscross pattern. And also, when I put the flywheel on, the flex plate on, it's going to go on. You see this lip, there's a protruding lip here. There's not one over here. That points outside, so it goes on like that. Then these bolts go through here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, now you're going to see here the 3 holes together. You line that up with those 3 holes, and you're ready to put it in. Now, one thing to note here, this is a 12-point head. So you need a 19mm 12-point socket. If you don't have a 12-point socket, don't worry, you can use a regular socket. But I don't think it'll be 19mm, but you could try to fit a regular socket on here too. First thing is, put the assembly lube underneath the head. So, a little bit of that. All around underneath the head. Gotta lube the head, baby. Next is you put some red thread locker on the threads themselves, just like that. And now you're ready to put these in. They're hand tight for now. Now I'm gonna do the same thing with the rest and thread those in by hand. Alright, these are all hand tight. Now I'm gonna put a vice grip over here, close to the oil filter, so the flex plate doesn't turn when I tighten these down. 75 foot-pounds, here we come. That's 1. That's 2. Go to this one. And now I go to this one. And we're good. Take the vice grip off. Okay, now we took the transmission. We're gonna put it over there. We have a block of wood and a jack.
Ready?
Good.
Oh, beautiful. It's on.
Alright, so what we're doing here is we put the jack underneath the trans. Now we're trying to get these tabs over here to clear. So we'll gotta pull it more back and see how the exhaust widens up over here. Get a good shot for you guys. So we're gonna raise it up here, then slide it back in. That's the plan anyways. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. Stop.
Got that one behind it. Go.
Pull it forward a little bit. Forward some more. Gotta finagle this bad boy. Go a little forward. Jack up. Pull forward. Jack up. Stop. Alright, so I'm gonna have him jack up, so you're gonna see this will be lining up soon. Jack up. Right there, stop. So all I gotta do is just maneuver this trans and put the dowel pins in. So it's pretty much in place. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that now. On one side I have a pry bar. Right there. Woohoo! She's in, boys and girls. Now they catch the bolts. Alright, so I'm using a long ass extension. I put some thread locker on the threads, and I'm putting some black tape around here so I could hold it in place. And that caught. I'm gonna catch the other ones. And now the driver's side. Do the same thing. I taped it up. Now this one, I'm going from the side of the car. This is the driver's side. I'm gonna torque these down later. You need a long extension with a swivel on there. Alright, so we just jacked this up a little bit over here by the tranny mount to get the top belt housing bolt in, and it caught, and we're good up there with it now. Alright, that's the top one now over there on the driver's side. Get it from here with the swivel also. And I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten that down. Alright, now I'm gonna torque these down to 35 foot-pounds. Alright, so that's good. Now I'm gonna do the rest 35 pounds of torque, and we're done. Alright, now we're gonna mate the torque converter with this flex plate. We're putting ARP bolts, part number 230-7304. And these have to be torqued down to 45 foot-pounds as per ARP. I'm also putting red thread locker on these because you don't want these coming loose. It's always a good idea to put ARP bolts here, especially on this, because this gets a lot of tension over here, especially for high horsepower applications. These have a lot of people, when they don't use ARP bolts here, strengthened bolts, they shear right off. So it's a good idea. Now, to turn this flywheel flex plate, I have a pry bar. There's different ways of doing this. You can also put a socket on the crank in the front and a ratchet on there and turn it. What I'm going to do, I just put a pry bar right here and just move it down like that until you get everything lined up. Another thing I always do before I do this, is grab the torque converter and push it towards the back of the car and see, because sometimes they don't seat. They come off when you, they unseat when you put them back in. And if this unseats, you could ruin your transmission. So it's actually not going in anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some thread locker on this bolt and put it in. Alright, one thing here is there's two different bolt styles over here, bolt patterns. So make sure you get the right bolt pattern. If this lines up with the hole, doesn't necessarily mean the other tabs will line up also. So make sure they all line up before you put these in. and there's 3 of these. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this over because I can't fit my torque wrench in there. So I'll probably move it to this location here, right there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and turn this flywheel over. Alright, they also have a flywheel turning tool, but I never bothered to get one because I always do it like this. Now over here, if they're far away, you might have to squeeze them together like this for them to go together. So let's take a look here. Go, that's good. Tighten that down. This is 13 millimeter. Alright, now it might turn the flex plate, so I'm just going to put a vice grip over here so it won't turn anymore. And we're good on that one. Next, there goes that one. And we're good. This is the transmission cross member we're putting in. It's a Summit part number 770318, and this is a G-body style cross member, and it's made over here to clear any exhaust that goes through over there. And I believe it's they made these slots for different cars, F bodies, G bodies, so you could use it for both. And to give you the required hardware for it, you have to drill half-inch holes through the frame rails to put this in. To put this hardware in, use the grade 5 bolts, or you could use a stock bolt holes with grade 8 hardware for that. So we also got a transmission mount here. This particular one is from Duralast 2817. So we're going to go ahead now and drill the frame rails for this cross member and install that mount. Okay, I got these 2 bolts here. These are half-inch bolts that connect the transmission mount to the transmission here. All I did here was I just put I was trying to mock in this cross member for the transmission. I just slid it in over there a little bit, as you can see that. And I slid it in over here. And now all you have to do, once you get to that spot, is just move it around like that. It's actually real easy to go in. You gotta finagle it around so it looks like the holes line up. So I'm just gonna move this out of the way for now and drill the half-inch holes I need in the frame rails. So the holes I'm gonna drill through the frame rail. Be careful you don't put too much strength here, because you'll be shooting right through the floor of the car. Alright, now we put a block of wood here. I'm just going to raise this up. Be careful, don't go too high, or else you can hear some crunching noises. The goal is to put this transmission mount through here, then mount this to the transmission. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, you gotta use a slide hole that's close to the driver's side to put this in. Gotta use that one there. So you move the cross member sideways like this. You pop in the transmission mount. Then you go back here, and everything should line up. Now the mount, I'm gonna put some blue thread locker on it. My camera girl just farted. That's good. And tighten up this side. That's good too. Alright, I'm gonna drop it a little bit. And I have an aligning pin. I'm gonna put it through the hole over here. And I'm just gonna move the cross member over just like that. And it aligned everything. Away. Alright, now I put the jack on the edge over here because the cross member is like this. So just jack it and it turns straight, just like that. Alright, now I'm gonna put these in. I'm gonna put them top down because just in case something breaks, these are still gonna be in there. They're not gonna fall off. So these are 5/8 on top and 5/8 nylocks on the bottom. So there goes that one. I'll put a washer on top, and the bottom is a washer and a nylock. You can also put tape on this, some electrical tape. I'm not going to tighten it all the way down. I'll come back here and do it later. Just going to put it in for now. And I'll do the other side. Alright, now just like that, it went through. And now I'm going to put the nut from underneath. Is it almost in, ladies and gentlemen? Is it almost in?
Yes,
She's in! Yay! And the last one. She's in! Woohoo! Alright, now I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten them all down. This is the fourth one. So we're just gonna go around and tighten them down. Alright, now drop it. All four corners are tight on the cross member. Go ahead and put a nut in the middle with a washer. So that's how it looks over there. Now I'm gonna put some blue thread locker on the inside of this nut. Just like that. Now I'm gonna put this up in that bitch. I'm gonna put two washers first. And I'm gonna thread this up. $17mm deep socket. We're good. And that's it for the transmission cross member. Alright, now we're gonna measure the drive shaft length. Now, every place that you go to cut your drive shaft, they can have their own way of measuring it. So make sure you call the place up first and have them tell you how they want it measured. Also, for different applications like racing or street or whatever you do with the car, they're gonna have also different ways of measuring it. So now over here, how they wanted us to measure it, you get the back of the yoke over here where it starts, which is right there. And you measure all the way to the front over here at the end of the tail shaft. So that was the measurement they wanted. So we gave them that spec, and this is the drive shaft that we got in return. We had a regular T10 here, and we went to a 4L60E transmission. So we had to get a slip yoke for a 4L60E, which wasn't the same as the T10. And we had to get a conversion U-joint here put in. So go ahead and install this drive shaft now. We're gonna put this is in park right now. So we're gonna go to reverse, neutral. Just gonna keep that there for now. Alright, so you slip this in over here. And now the other end. Alright, now as you can see, the slip yoke is in. And I can turn it back and forth because the transmission is in neutral. So this will help us here. I also have the back wheels up above the stands we have here. So we can also move the wheels to move this yoke over here. So I'm just going to take the tape off now that we have over here. And just simply pop this bad boy in, just like that. Now put the cap on here. Tighten those down later. Alright, now you can either turn the tires or you can turn the drive shaft. As you can see, you see the ring over here? That's where it should be sitting when you're putting these U-joints on. So now, go ahead and put the other cap on. Now to tighten this, what I'm going to do is, we're going to put the e-brake on. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten this side. Then I'm going to go back to the other side and tighten that down. E-brake's on. Tighten that down. And tighten this down. So we took the e-brake off, put it back, turned this drive shaft, put it back on, and now I'm tightening the other side. And we're good. Alright, now we're going to put a 4th gen center console in. Now to mock up the shifter, we're going to take this piece off. So we're going to see how the shifter sits in here. And we're going to install this in the car, mock it up. So down here, in here, I'm going to take this off real quick. You just gotta push that up and out of the way. That pops out just like that. See these things? That's what you gotta push in. Alright, now you can pop these out. You put a little pick behind here and pry it up. And just a clip. Now back here is 2 7mm bolts inside the glove box. So I'm going to go ahead and take those off. That's 1, and that's 2. And now this whole thing should come right out. Just like that. Okay, so this is the 4th gen shifter we have here. And now we're going to position the console, the 4th gen console over it, and see how it sits. Now we mounted the console and put the shifter in here also. That's what it looks like. So let me show what it looks like with the centerpiece on it also. So that's how it sits in there. And I have this in park, so we want to see where that would sit. And now we have the shifter here. So the shifter would be over here somewhere in park. Since we like the placement of everything, I'm just going to take this cap off. And be careful you don't move that too much. Try to keep it in the same exact spot. Hold that. Okay, go. Just like that. Alright, so now I'm going to mark over here to make sure this doesn't move around. Or if it does move around, we could put it back to where it was. So I lined up the little square box over there that I did before. And now I'm just going to make a mark here for this first hole. So that's our first hole over there. Time to drill! My favorite part. I love drilling. Alright, now we're gonna put a little patch panel over here. Now the right way of doing this is to weld a little piece of sheet metal in there. But what we're gonna do is we have a piece of sheet metal here and we're gonna patch it. We sprayed the area over here with rust-proof paint just to get started over here. Okay, so this is the piece we're going to use. Now as you can notice here, I'm going to have to bend this over. That's right. What I love to do. Excuse my hands. I think it's bent to where we want it. Alright, we're just going to spray a light coat of paint on this panel. Alright, so what we're doing here is we're mocking this up now. And we put the patch metal here. We have to make a little hole over here for the shifter cable to come out. So it's going to be in this area over here. This vicinity. Right over here. It's going to be around there. gonna make a hole right there. Make a little X mark. X marks the spot, baby. Alright, now I'm gonna make holes on this. So, just on the edges over here a little bit. I'm gonna drill through the floors over here now that I have the holes in the plate of the car. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna go around now with the whole plate and drill holes all around. Alright, we're using panel adhesive. This particular one is from Eastwood, part number 31087. This is what it comes with. Usually structural panel adhesives, they come with, you have to buy a separate caulk, separate gun for it. This one you could use a regular caulk gun to use this. So this is how it goes together. They give you these pieces with the kit. You put this in here, just like that. Then this goes back here, and this goes against the caulk gun over here, just like that. You take this piece off here, and you put one of the nozzles on here. It comes with 2 nozzles, and you turn that like that. And I'm just gonna put a thick bead all around just like this. Alright, now we're ready. We got a bead all the way around. So I'm gonna try to put it on here. Right there. The self-tapping screws in. Alright, so that's how that looks. We're going to put a grommet here. You want to shift the cable through. So this is all sealed up nicely. And once this is done, of course afterwards, they're going to put some sound dampening, like Dynamat stuff over here, so you're not going to see any of this stuff. Now we're going to mount the shifter. And I have one of these tubes here. And I'm going to cut it to act like a spacer when I put these in. So just gonna put this in now. Alright, so one space is gonna go over here. Just gonna mark it where I want it. It's gonna be right there. Now make the cut. Now to put the spacer in. And that spacer is doing a wonderful job over there. Now do this side. Get it's right there. I'm gonna grind one end at a little bit of a slant now, because the shifter, the plate underneath is slanted a little bit, so it could just fit nice and uniformly under that. So I get a little bit of a slant there. Now let's go put this back in the car. Now as you can see here, that's a perfect angle cut I did in the grinder. And now I'm just going to insert it in there. Alright, so we put the spacers underneath. I put some washers on top too now. Now I'm going to go underneath and hold on to the nut while my partner here, my camera girl Brianna, tightens up the top bolts over here.
The clown's underneath holding it. I'm going to tighten it. And she's tight. And that's it. It's bolted down. Alright, he's feeding the shifter cable from the bottom. I'm going to put it inside the shifter hole. Okay, so just the head is peeking into there now. So it's gonna have the clown push now. There you go. Alright, so pop through. And now I just gotta take the rest of it somehow. Now put it through. And it looks like it's good.
And the last thing to do here is to put this big staple right here to keep it from going out. And now over here, there's a staple here. So I'm just going to go in there with my needle nose pliers and pull that out. And since there's already a bracket mounted up here, I'm not going to take it off. I'm just going to mount this to that bracket. I'm just going to take the bracket off this. Okay, just like that. And this should come all straight throughout. Just like that. Alright, now put this in here. Now put the retaining staple in. Just like that. Alright, now the shifter cable. This won't mate up with this because this is a 6mm ball. What you need is, for this one, is a 10mm ball for this shifter cable. So you just change the lever on the transmission. Remember, there's two different sizes over here, so we're just going to change this out. It's a 15mm nut. Alright, that's loose. Alright, now put the new one on. You just align it and you put it all the way forward so you can tighten it. And you're good. Now just pop this in, just like that.
Alright, he's going through the gears now in the car.
Reverse, neutral, drive. Third gear, second gear, first gear.
Alright.
Now park again.
So everything looks like it's working correctly.
Now we're going to install a transmission cooler. This car had an automatic transmission in here before. So the car actually has on the radiator, it has a thing on the side for a transmission cooler. Let me show you. So as you can see here, there's a top port and a lower port. So this already had the transmission cooler built into the radiator. And the kit comes with one of these. So you could just insert that in there and put your hose over here. You could do this many different ways. You could use AN style fittings if you want. There's different ways of doing this over here. Use different types of fittings. This is the kit we're putting in. It's a Hayden. It's Ultra Cool Trans Cooler. It's part number 403. But you could put any trans cooler in there. It doesn't have to be that one necessarily. They're the same. They come with these clamps over here for the hoses, and these go through the radiator in the front. So you could mount this little cooler in front of the radiator. And it comes with hoses, but we need extra hoses. It comes with this that goes onto the radiator, like I showed you before. And we got extra line here, so we can put it on the transmission. What we got here, these are brake lines, 5/16. Now, the transmission itself has adapters on it. This is a Foil 60E, and it's got regular transmission line adapters, which are like 15-20 bucks on eBay. They look like brass fittings. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this hard line so I can put it on there. Okay, now before we do anything to the car, let me show you real quick what I'm going to do here. Okay, this is the trans, T for trans. This is the radiator, R for radiator, and this is the cooler. So the transmission has one fitting on top, one fitting on the bottom. The bottom is the pressure line, and which is the feed, and the top is the return. The radiator has one on top, one on the bottom, inlet and outlet. So the bottom of the trans, the pressure, goes to the top direct feed over there. Now, the return here will go into the cooler, then return from the cooler straight to the return here. So that's how we're going to do it. Alright, now first thing I'm going to do before we install these to the transmission, I'm just going to cut this line right in the middle. Get your pipe cutter, and right there. So that's what you have. Alright, so these are the lines on the transmission. The bottom is the feed, the top is the return. So those are the brass fittings, the adaptive fittings I was talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and try to bend these lines, these hard lines, to conform to how it is underneath over here with the transmission tunnel in the car. So we're going to use this pipe bender here. I'm going to make one quick bend and see where I'm at up there with this. So I'm just going to put that over there. I could use the middle one. And go over with this and bend it over. Gotta bend it over, baby. Nobody knows that better than me. Alright. And now we can do this one. Okay, we just put this dipstick tube on the side over here where it's supposed to go. We didn't put it in yet because I want enough room in there to put my hand so I could tighten down these nuts over here. These nuts. So the top one is going to go over there. So I have a marker where I'm going to put the hose. So the hose, I'm going to put it over here somewhere. So I'm going to mark that. I'm going to go ahead and cut these now. You got to deburr the inside. You see little pieces over there? So just go around with it, make sure there's nothing in there. No jagged pieces. And what I also like to do is put some compressed air in here to blow out any pieces of metal or anything like that that might have went in there. But before I do that, I'm gonna flare out the end over here so I can put a hose on it. Alright, now I'm just gonna put it over here, and I'm just going to create a little flare at the end of this and tighten the bitch down. Then you take this and you have a little lip for the hose clamp to grip that over here when you put the hose back on. What I like to also do is put the wire wheel on this to get rid of any sharp edges that might cut the hose. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so look at that. It's nice and smooth. So you can put a hose on this, no problem now. We do bottom line first. Let's thread this in. Thread as much as I can by hand because it's tight in there. Alright, that's a 1/2 inch up there. I'm using a crowfoot, little extension, and a 3/8 drive ratchet. So just gonna tighten it down, and we're good. Same procedure with this. So I recommend doing hard lines all the way to the front. You don't want rubber lines close to the exhaust, because if it leaks, then you have a potential fire hazard because transmission fluid is flammable. So be very careful. I wanted to mention that because this is only a test run we're doing with this transmission. I figured I'd just do a transmission cooler install video, just so you guys know how to do it. But it's the same procedure. Just run the lines and bend them as far forward as you can, away from the exhaust. So now I'm just going to put this here, this hose, and that's a 1/4 inch right there. So So I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten that down. All right, now we're gonna make another one of these. Okay, now thread this on top over here. Make sure you use a line wrench here. That's good. All right, now we're connecting the bottom hose to this top. And make sure you have your hose clamp in there. And just put it on there. That. And you're good. All right, now the top line, I'm gonna route it under here. And I'm also gonna zip tie it on this bar. But for now, I'm just going to leave it there, and I'm going to pull it to the front of the radiator because this line is going to go into the cooler. I'm just going to cut it here for now. I'm also going to run a line to the front of the radiator and the same length as this to the front and cut that. Alright, now these two over here, I'm going to put on the transcooler. That's good. Now tighten these down. And we're good. So what we're going to do now is, the kit also comes with these. These are like zip ties. They go in one end and come out the other through both the radiator and the cooler. Now this goes at the end here, and you just pull on it to tighten everything up. And this goes on the other end, and I like to put this in the middle. This is like a double-sided tape sort of, so cooler and radiator sit in between, and they don't rub because you have this as a spacer. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount these onto the radiator. Alright, so peel that off, put this on one end, and do the same thing on the other corner. And now I'm going to run it to the front of the radiator, on the side of the radiator, not in the middle. We're going to put it to the side. Okay, now slide it up in there. Pull these out. Now that you have it in place, and mount the radiator. The cooler to the radiator where you want it. In this case, that should be fine. So now just push these through. And I'm going to push this through too. And now put this at the end of it. Just like that. The bottom one in now. And you're good. Alright, now I'm going to blow compressed air into here because this cooler, transmission cooler in the radiator probably hasn't been used for a long time. So I just want any debris that's in there or anything that crawled in there to blow out. And we're good. Alright, now the rest of the part over here is you just zip tie everything out of the way, just like that, and you're pretty much done. Alright, now to put the flex plate cover in, this hole over here, there's a little hole here that goes where the starter is. Goes right there. You got 4 10mm bolts that go 2 here and 2 on top. So I'm gonna put those in now. Alright, real quick thing over here. I made 2 holes on the flex plate cover, and I put a zip tie through it so I could zip tie these lines way out of the way from the long tube headers until we get the hard lines over here. Alright, now this is looking down where the dipstick tube area is. And we put some tape over there. So this is the tape coming off. So the dipstick tube has a rubber seal on the bottom. We're going to put some trans gel on that so it could slide in easily. Alright, now this is the dipstick tube seal over here. I put a little bit of trans gel on my finger. So I'm just going to work it around here. Then we're going to stick this in the hole, baby, of the transmission where the dipstick's supposed to be. Okay, I'm going to push the dipstick tube down. Wait. Go down a little bit. Alright, so now it's aligned. All you gotta do is just push down on it as much as you can. Keep pushing. Got a little bit more to go. It's going. You have to wait for it to seat. Keep going. Alright, so we're gonna push one more time. And the seal looks like it's seated. You can feel a lip seated on a transmission pan, on a transmission top over here. So we're good with the dipstick now. Okay, so the dipstick tube came with this little bracket, extension bracket, and this nut and bolt with a lock washer. These are 9/16 bolt nut. Now I'm going to put this on the dipstick tube on one end, and the other end is going to go in the back of the head where the ground strap goes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. But I'm going to go ahead and take that bolt off. It's a 9/16 bolt behind the head.
It's out.
Okay, cool. That's what I'm talking about. Ah, there it is, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Alright, now to put this little bracket onto the dipstick bracket, which is going to be fun. Alright, so that's how it looks like in there. You gotta tighten down the bottom bolt and put the ground straps down with the ground bolt, on the head. Now it's tight. Yeah, baby. Whew.
You can see what he did right there.
Alright, so I just put some tape around here to hold these two together. I'm putting a socket here. And I'm going to catch it with my hand. Go under there and just turn this. So, first thing is try to get the hole. So move the bracket back and forth by moving the dipstick. And just go there and catch it by hand. Once it catches, take the tape off and continue tightening it down. So give it a good tightening and you're good. Alright, next thing in the agenda, this is the shifter. This is the wiring for it. Now, the customer doesn't want the neutral safety switch wired. He just wants the backup lights wired. So over here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spade connectors on the switch over in the shifter. So what we want is the 141 brown to ignition. We're going to connect ignition hot to that, and we're going to connect the backup lights to D. So C and D is the two the spade connectors we need on the switch. So right now, let me do an ohm test between the two, make sure there's continuity between the two, and let me show you what that looks like. I have my multimeter on a continuity setting, so that's open circuit. Now, and if I touch them together, you're gonna hear a beeping. I don't know if you hear that, but it's beeping. So now on this switch over here, I'm gonna connect these two on the third and fourth connectors back here. So I'm just gonna feel it 1, 2, 3, and connect that. I just want to make sure that this, when the shifter goes on reverse, that I'm gonna get noise on there. It's gonna get the beeping, I mean. So that means there's continuity between the two. So now we're gonna put the shifter in reverse. Right there. No, right there. So those are the two connectors we need. Alright, now we're down here by the fuse panel. This was connected over here. All I did was pop this open pop this open over here and then pull this connector out. Now over here, the wiring harness from the back of the car, all the lights and everything go here. As you can see, I back probed over here. I love back probing because I'm Greek. And that's the light green wire up here. The light green wire, that's that connector. So what I did was I just jumped this with a power over here to make sure that that's the wire lighting up the back reverse lights. I'll show you in the back what it looks like on the connector for the reverse lights. Okay, so this is a reverse light that's out. I took it out. This is the green wire that I'm going to connect power to. The black is ground. The other green wire goes to the other light on the other side. This reverse light gives this power when this one got power, and this has its own ground. So now over here, just to test this wire, I'm going to jump it and see if this lights. I'll show you exactly how it is inside when I jump it now. Now this is the wire. I'm going to jump this. Now over there where I'm going to put it, it's ignition hot, so the ignition key has to be on to get power to that. Okay, I'm going to use that one right there. Now the fuse for that one is right next to it. It's right there. So that's where I'm going to connect. I'm going to jump it to. Alright, now we're going to put the ignition switch to on and check in the back if the lights are on.
Alright, now I'm in the back here, and both reverse lights are on, so we know we're good over there. We found the right wire.
Okay, now we're going to connect the ignition hot wire to the fuse panel. Alright, now we're just going to pop this right there. Right there. Okay, now we're just going to run this to the switch on the shifter. And I'm going to use these small little spade connectors to connect to the shifter over there. Alright, now this one goes to the third one from the top, which is right there. So, right there. As you can see, I back probed this one. That's the fourth wire over here. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this over here. Okay, now this one goes, it's the fourth one from the top. Just like that. Now it's time to test them out. That's reverse. Drive. Park. Reverse. So the lights work. Alright, now we're going to put this TCI Easy TCU transmission controller. This is TCI part number 302820. And this comes with a controller and a module, and it's designed to calibrate your shift points, the firmness of the shifts, and converter lockup and speedometer output, and also troubleshooting it, diagnostics. This is for applications full 60E, full 65E, full 70E, full 80E, full 85E, and 6-speed automatic tranny. Now this is what it comes with. This is the module. This is the controller. Comes with the harness. It comes with cable for the communication cable for the controller. It's a power for the controller. Miscellaneous screws and connectors, and RPM module. And we're going to use this for the signal and attack, for the RPM signal. And to install all this into a carbureted car, you also need a TCI part number 377400. This is a remote mount TPS, and of course everything comes with instructions on how to do it. This is the remote mount TPS, and they also recommend, TCI also recommends you buy this if you have a carburetor, and this is the adapter to hold that bracket in. So let's start installing this. So what I did here was I zip tied what we're not going to use, and this is going to be inside the car. Some of this stuff is torque converter applied. You could lock up the torque converter manually with the switch. You have a flash enable, CAN link. These are stuff if you want to hook up to a laptop or whatever in the future. Speedometer output, that's a signal if you want to put a digital dash in, and speedometer controller. manual shifter. If you want to use paddle shifters, you could also use it for that, but all this stuff here we're not going to use. Along with the inside the car, we're having a 12-volt switched power. You can also put this straight to the battery and have a toggle switch inside whenever you start the car, but we're just going to probably tap into a wire that goes to the fuse box. This goes onto the module, this goes onto the controller. This will all be inside the car. Now what's going to the front of the car is straight power to the battery and negative straight to the battery. And we're using this part of the harness, this throttle position sensor, an attack RPM module is going over here. That's the engine compartment. And the rear of the car on the outside, we have the output shaft speed, vehicle speed sensor, and this is the transmission for the main computer and the transmission for the controller. So I'm going to go ahead now and fit this to the car. Alright, now this transmission harness piece, we're going to feed it through the transmission panel patch panel that we did over here on this car. So just go right through, right there. We're also going to feed the output shaft speed, the VSS signal wire. That is also going through here. Alright, now for these wires that go in the engine bay, we're going to take this connector off because it's too big. I'm just going to feed all the wires through at the same time. And once the wires are fed, I'm going to put the connector back on. So first thing to do here is unclip this. And now you have a tool like this that you could just slip over here and push that clip in. You go ahead and pull these out one by one, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Out, just like that. So what we're gonna do now is, you see this cable here? That's for it's a mechanical speedometer cable. So we're gonna put a digital decoder dash in here, so we don't need this. We're gonna connect it to the vehicle speed sensor on the tow shaft. So I'm just gonna cut it here, and I'm gonna attach these wires that need to go into the engine bay. Now I gotta grommet. I'm gonna put all the wires through here. And now I'm gonna tape this with electrical tape to that speedometer cable that I cut before, so I can pull everything through that hole. You see that hole right there? That's what it's gonna go through. And I'm just gonna go on the other side where the engine bay is and pull it out. Now we put some wire loom here to hide the positive and the negative cables that are going to run straight to the battery. Alright, now this battery cable here, it comes already a connection on it. So I just stripped it and I bent it over Greek style. And I'm going to put some dielectric grease in this one because this one isn't the heat shrinkable. Once you bend it over, you got to lube it. And it'll go right in there. And this one is the negative side. Now the TPS, we're gonna put it right here. So I'm gonna make a hole on this over here and over here. Alright, so I just put a piece of wood down here. I'm going to use this to start the hole. Let's drill this bitch. Alright, we're going to use that hole that's already existing in there. So that's going to go over there. And we're going to have to make just one hole to mount this over here now. Alright, now we're going to put this bracket on. It's going to go something like this. But we'll see once it's on there about the fitment. It might be we might have to change a few things around, and also we have to figure out what we can do with the spring over there, the throttle return spring. Get it out. Take this off. My little platypus needle nose. Squeeze that and goes right through. Now let's put this bracket on. It's clipped out, so you're good here. And then that goes right there. Alright, now I put this in. You just go back here and you pop it in. Now I'm just mocking it up. I have a carburetor little stud over here. And that's gonna go in right there. And this should be tightened down over there. So I'm just mocking it up now because I gotta see where I'm gonna put this spring. This spring, I'm thinking I'm gonna make a hole down here on the bottom of this bracket, but I gotta see if it's gonna be in the way or if it's gonna bind anywhere once I make that hole in the back over there. So I'm thinking making the hole over there somewhere. Okay, now I'm gonna go through the motion and see if the spring touches anything. Nope. Doesn't touch anything, any linkage over here on the carburetor. It doesn't touch this cable over here for the transmission. So go all the way back and you're good. Still doesn't touch. So I'm gonna make a hole in the back of this bracket so I could put the return spring over there. Alright, now that we did the hole, one more thing I want to show here. This, when you put it in, this is too thick. This is too thick and those tabs don't come out. So I just need a very thin grind of the face of this thing and these should pop out. So I'm just going to go to the grinder right now and grind it down real quick. Okay, I just grind it down very slightly, very slightly. So now this should go in and it should click, just like that. It's perfect. So let's install this. Alright, now put the bracket back on, put the washer, the nut. Now we're good. And that's in. There's a little protrusion here. Line that up with the hole over there and just pop it until you hear that click. I'll put some blue thread locker on this stud over here and in she goes. It's good. We went ahead, we did this a couple times. Didn't want to bore you guys to death, but this is what we did. We mocked it up in position here. This goes back and forth. So we tighten this down here. Once this tightens down, it tightens down the cable and this has nowhere to go here. So this is what we did. You look at the TPS sensor here. This should not be resting at full rest over here at idle. Now I'm gonna go full throttle on the carburetor. That's full throttle. And another thing you should note is that this sensor should not be maxed out. Now as you can see, here it's not maxed out. There's more room to go on the TPS, so we're good here. Now to fine tune this TPS sensor, I stuck a T-pin right in the middle. You stick it all the way in, baby, to back probe that on the middle wire. I'm gonna put my positive of my multimeter here, right there, and set the multimeter to volts. And with the negative on a good ground source, you should have at least 0.2 or higher at idle. So that's 0.376, so we're good. And we're just gonna tighten this down over here now. Alright, so I tighten this down. Now to put the spring on. And it's right there. Now let's put this weather pack connector back in. So A is the black wire. That's in. It's not coming out. Give it a little tug. The white wire is B. C is the other wire. And that clipped in. Now clip this down. And now connect this bad bitch in. Alright, now the RPM module. These black wires go to a ground. So we're using this ground cable here. And we're just going to take this ground strap off. Alright. Now, I also want to say, you only use this RPM module if you don't have an MSD type of box. So, since we have HEI here, we're going to go and use this. This wire here coming out of the module, the white wire, it goes to the ground, it goes to the negative side of the coil. So I'm just going to cut this here and splice it in with one of these. And the negative side of the coil is this one. On top it says negative coil. So that's this one here. So I'm going to tap one side first. That's good. And we're good. And this now goes to the TCU. It's this one here. It goes in there. So just going to connect that. And that's it. Alright, now since we're done in the engine bay, I'm just going to put this grommet in that I put in before. And there you go. Alright, now for the switched connection inside the car, the 12-volt switch, we're using this AC thermal switch. Now this car, we're not going to use the stock AC, we're putting our own vintage air AC system in this car. So we're just going to cut this here and use this as a 12-volt switched power source. And this is all from underneath the dash. So I'm just going to cut this here and split and use a butt connector to connect this straight here. Alright, now cut that. And you're good. Alright, now we'll put this connector in. It's on the side of the transmission. So we're trying to get this camera in here in the tunnel, but there's really no space, so I'll try to give you the best shot possible here. Heard that click? You're just pushing it in.
Yeah, it should be in.
Now the connector for the output shaft speed, or your VSS, vehicle speed sensor. Now there's two different types of connectors. Of course, our connector is this one, so we have to splice into it. They supply you with this connector. So as you can see here, AB, AB. So the purple, all purple wire goes to the A, and the black with the purple line goes to the B. Alright, now that you stripped it, what you do is you go up with the rubber weather strip over here, and you go around over here to hold that in place, just like that. And now you could crimp over here. I'm gonna pop these in first. Clipped. You hear the click. And this one clicked. That's how it should look. And now you can pop this in from behind. And you're good. Alright, so we fed the wire through now, and this goes one way. There's a slit over here, so you got to put it in this way with the slit going on this side, and it's in. Alright, so we had this car for a little while here sitting in the backyard, so we decided to get an ignition, MSD ignition for it. We're getting Street Fire. This is part number 5520, and we showed you how to wire it up to with an RPM module. Now this is how to wire this up if you're using an ignition box, which is a much cleaner tax signal output. So people have less issues with these. So I'll show you both ways in the video. This is the other way to how to wire the tac output signal for this. Alright, so we're gonna mount this over here. So we're gonna go ahead and mark where these holes are supposed to go. Okay. Now we're gonna mount this. What I'm gonna do is, this doesn't come with those rubber feet, so I'm just gonna put grommets to the back to cushion it from any vibration and stuff like that. So the self tappers here, the grommet in the back. Alright, now these wires, they don't make it to the battery. There's one's positive, one's negative, direct connect. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna cut it and extend it. We don't have red wire, we're gonna use blue, but you get the idea. Alright, now we're going to put these are spade connectors. We're going to put it on the battery terminal here, and we're going to put our wires here on top. Alright, now the positive goes here, and we do the same thing on the negative side. So that goes here. Alright, now we're just going to yank the ignition wires off because we have to take the cap off. These are 1/4 inch here. I'm going to take the rotor off. Alright, take these off too. These are 1/4 inch bolts here. Take these connections off the back. Take the condenser off. Alright, now take this whole assembly out, just like that. Alright, now this comes with the kit. I'm going to put this through the grommet, just like that. Now this is the pipe to bypass the module and the condenser. There's a small spade and a big spade. So you can have a small one here and a big one. So you connect it respectively. It's the big one. That's the small one. Alright, now I'm also going to tape these up, just because they're going to be hanging in here. Just to be safe. I don't want touching anything. So that's one. Alright. Okay, now I'm going to put these clips here to they're like retainers to hold these down. So I'm gonna use the old 1/4 inch bolts that came with the old module, and I'm just gonna fasten these down. That's good. Alright, now you can position the grommet right there, and you're good. Alright, now this also comes with the kit. That clips there, and this clips to the harness that we just put in. Clipped in. Now we're going to take this ground off this firewall here. Get rid of that, we don't need that. And now we're going to put the new ground that comes in the kit. It's this one here. So we're going to put that there.
That's good.
Alright, this heavy battery wire that goes to the ignition HEI. You put this one coming from the box on this car goes onto that. Alright, now this red wire goes into this jumper that they give you with the set, and you just put it in like that. And there's two here, but we're gonna cut one in the middle here, and we're gonna tape it. And we're gonna route this around. This, you just pop it in like that, and you heard that click. Alright, so the white wire in this setup is not used, so I'm just gonna roll it up and tape it up. Orange is B+, which is battery. So you just stick that in there, pop that in there to the back right. That's in. The middle back is the ground that we just put in the firewall. And the other wire from the harness is the coil negative, back left. Alright, now the gray wire from the MSD box, we're going to put a connector on it, and we're going to put it into this Lumisys TAC-In or PM module. Now these are split, but they go into one wire further down, so don't be confused by two wires over here. So I'm just going to put this connector now in here and tighten that down. Put this in here. Just like that. We're going to use this grommet seal. It's 1.25 inches inside diameter, and the hole is 3 inches outside diameter. It's a firewall grommet. This is from Summit, and it's the part number SIC GS1003-20. This is for 20 AN, and that's what it looks like. You also put sheet metal screws in here. So we're going to use this on the panel. Now the grommet's in place, we're going to use these small little sheet metal screws. And the last one. One thing we're going to do here is we're going to take this shift solenoid out. So this is something that, if you guys want to know, this just pops right out. So, alright, now that we took the shift solenoid out, I'm just going to cut it here and go straight across here and cut this out. And the console we have from a 4th gen will fit perfectly. So that's all I'm going to do now. I'm just going to cut this apart here. Okay, now we're going to test fit the console. Everything looks like it's good. Now I'm going to put the centerpiece in here. Alright, so we got it in, and it's pretty good. We just have to space it up 1 inch or 2 on the side over here, which isn't a big deal because we also got to put the carpet in there and stuff. So it looks pretty good. Looks stock, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Alright, now we're just going to fill it up with transmission fluid. We're going to put 10 quarts in for now. We're going to start it up, warm up the transmission, and see if we have to fill up some more. Plus, make sure you go underneath, check for any leaks. Alright, now we're going to plug in the main computer, the module. It goes right there. Also make sure that all the wires, the looms, everything is out of the way, and any moving parts underneath, or the exhaust, zip tie everything out of the way. Now the handheld controller goes on that. That clips into there. Now we're not going to mount anything anywhere because we're doing a custom interior in this car, and a custom AC unit. So once everything's in place, we're going to see where we're going to mount that. But it's probably going to go in there, over there somewhere. So that's the controller. Put that in there. And start the car.
I just went to depress the clutch pedal, and it's an automatic.
Setup wizard.
We're using the 4L60.
Number of cylinders. Alright, now the tire size is 26 inches, which is correct. So calculate the rear axle gear. I have a video on how to do that. Ours is 373. We'll leave that there.
And we're gonna leave this here. Yeah.
Alright, we shut the car off now to calibrate the TPS because wide open throttle, we're not going to floor it here. So we can continue with that. Hold the throttle at maximum. That's all the way down. The position. Close the throttle. Okay. So we unplugged it for 10 seconds. Now the tune should be saved. Alright. Now I'm just going to drive it around. Alright, now that we calibrated it, we're taking it for a spin. As you can see here, gives you the mile an hour, the RPM. If the torque converter locks up, you get a check mark there. Gives you what gear you're in. Change the live data settings here. The transmission's running at 163 degrees, which is actually pretty good. You want it to be 10 degrees cooler than your water temps. This is about maybe 17, which is better. Your battery voltage. Okay, now we're gonna go to 4th gear and stab the gas a little bit. It should go down to 4th. It should go from 4th gear to 3rd gear when you stab the gas. It's in 4th gear now. So we're gonna give it some gas now. It went to 3rd gear, which is good, it downshifted. So this thing, it's shifting pretty good. There's no slipping, gears aren't slipping or anything like that. It's shifting where it's supposed to be. That's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, subscribe to my channel. Like me, share me, do all you want to me. Hasta la vista!